I now call on Deputies Catherine Connolly, Thomas Brinkman and Joan Collins, who shared 10 minutes, 3.33 minutes each.
4, 3 and 3. And Minister, I understand you have a difficult job to do, and my comments aren't directed to you personally. But direct provision was introduced as an emergency measure in 1999, 20 years ago. It not only continues, but it has been embedded as a permanent structure. They're not my words. This is the Ombudsman for Children, Dr. Dáil Muldoon. And he said, while we can and will do everything we can to raise awareness of the issues and improve living standards for people in direct provision, government must consider the long-term nature of the system. As the 20th anniversary of the direct provision approaches, it's now time to consider alternatives and bring this emergency measure to an end. And I endorse those comments. And this speech today starts off and has some very good points in it, but what's notably lacking from it are figures and facts. And so Deputy Howlin quoted 39 direct provision centres. I have a figure for 38. Other people have others. So the system is surrounded with secrecy. So we have the direct provision centres, and then we have the people in emergency hotels. We don't know those figures. I would have thought, in the interest of openness and accountability, that the Minister would have set all that out in his speech. In the interest, you see, I think there's a feeling that given information will make matters worse, and I'm of a completely different persuasion. Information is empowering, it's enabling, and that's what we need, because the figures and the numbers aren't overwhelming. What is overwhelming, as has been said earlier on by Deputy Kenny, is of the privatisation of the system and the profit being made by companies and the profit being made by hotels. That's what's shocking. So I would think, Minister, if you, and I welcome in the speech that you welcome ideas from us. I think that's a start. That has never once been said by any Minister for Justice, and certainly not by the Department of Justice, otherwise known as the Department of Secrecy in the past. They certainly never put their hands out and said, look, we have obligations nationally and internationally, and we want your help. And even at the very, which I described as the worst meeting of my life in Luke Gerard, people came up to me afterwards and during the meeting and said, we would give the shirt off our backs. Now, I think the challenge is to take that at its best and say, yes, we want to work with you. And so when I look at this, I see a system that's gone on for too long. And Deputy Smith has already referred to the background, the greatest displacement of people since the Second World War. Approximately 65 million people displaced. And then in our country, we're talking about tiny figures. And we're talking about that as absolutely impossible. And it's important to give the figures because my colleague from Galway West has a habit of giving the wrong figures or choosing figures that are not to suit an argument. And so for 2018, it increased. We took it in 17, 2,926 was the number of additional asylum seekers. That went up to 3,673 in 18. And in 2019, up to the end of September, the figures I have are 3,762, in addition to the number that were there. It's hardly overwhelming. And so part of the problem is the system isn't fit for purpose. It has gone on too long, and people are in a direct provision centre where they have refugee status and can't get out, which is almost half the number of those in emergency accommodation. I think there are solutions to this. I have 10 seconds left, and I'm going to say use those 10 seconds to deplore the question asked with a particular purpose today by Deputy Grealish in the Chamber. That is step 2 in what seems to be an orchestrated campaign. Thank you.